Welcome to the Popko Project podcast. How are you, sir?
I ain't hanging in there, man. As we were just talking, dealing with a broken washer, but happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Yes, from the band Keep Flying.
That's right.
Where are you guys from?
So the band is New York, New Jersey based, and a little splash of Pennsylvania. But during the pandemic, like a lot of people, everybody kind of scattered. So we will always be a New York, New Jersey band, but currently I'm in Nashville. Our guitar player's in Asheville, North Carolina. Our singer's in Columbia, South Carolina. Our trombone player moved to Denver, and then our bass player is still Philly, and our drummer's still North Jersey, which is where home base as far as like the show is Long Island, which is where I'm originally from, and still there pretty often.
Okay.
Um, but the home base, as far as like where we keep all of our gear, where we rehearse, where we write, that's all in Butler, New Jersey, which is like North Jersey, only like 40 minutes from Manhattan.
Okay. You guys are pretty spread out then.
Pretty spread out. For most people, most bands, I think that would be an impossible feat. But because we have always kind of been this way since even in the beginning when we formed, everyone was a few hours apart. It's not like we were a band that all grew up in the same town. You know what I mean? Like this band did not start in high school. We all
Right.
have found each other later. So it's like we've always had to deal with the commute. It's just now we have to deal with flights, not just, driving.
Right. Well, thank God for technology, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I don't even know how I found you guys. I feel I think it was somebody that I'm friends with posted some kind of maybe like a pop punk video or something like that. And then I went down a rabbit hole and I found you guys Keep Flying. And I was like, the minute I hit play on the first song on Spotify called High Cholesterol, blown away. Like, I was like, how have I not heard of this band before? And then I looked on the monthly listens on Spotify, and you guys sound like you are a band that should have 100,000 listens a month, and like your Instagram, I feel like again, you guys are a band that should have 100,000 followers. Like that's how good your sound is.
Well, I really appreciate that because ego aside, most days I also wish that those were the numbers that we were working with. And I'm doing everything I can to try and increase those numbers, but I'm I lack a little bit in the tech area and like the social networking area. The only way that I still really know how to do this is with the live show. And there's only so many people you can get with the live show if you're not supporting other artists that are larger with new fans. So we did just come off of a tour with Les and Jake and Bowling for Soup, which was the best tour we've ever done. And we got to play to thousands of people that had never heard of our band every night. And we watched all those numbers every single day increase exponentially. And that was kind of like proof in the pudding that yes, that does work still. The get out there and play does work. But in the meantime, I am always open to any sort of idea on trying to how to figure out how to increase um, eyes and ears on the music via the internet. It's just I'm not very not bad at it. I'm just not good at it either.
Yeah, I wish I had the answer for you because, like, I mean, I've been at this podcast. It'll be 2 years in December. I just broke 100 episodes a few weeks ago, and I mean, I struggle to get those followers and
You know,
listeners, and I've had some great guests. I've had, like I told you in the message, Breaking Benjamin, and older bands like the Verve Pipe and Cold and Everclear, and it's like, trying to get your YouTube subscribers up and just views on that. It's just like it's a challenge.
right? Sometimes, and the best advice I've gotten is just to keep putting out there and hope that one of them just gets picked up and then everything kind of rolls after that, which I do see work for other people I know that have had either on Twitch or TikTok or whatever go viral. It's always like it's got to start somewhere, and they just like
Yeah.
hit it with. So I'm like, yeah, okay, we'll just keep grinding at it, keep trying different things out, but also ultimately, it's like I'm happy at the end of the day if even like three people text me and they're like, "Dude, I just listened to that podcast you did, and it was awesome." I'm like, "All right, I feel good about that."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a challenge for sure. But I mean,
Right.
I think, like you said, I think getting out there and being in front of people is like still, I mean, obviously it's not as easy as, doing a TikTok video and going viral or things like that.
Right.
But I
But
mean,
I
I was just
know
at a,
it
yeah,
worked.
yeah, but like being out in front of people, I was at a music conference over the weekend here in Scranton, and I mean the amount of followers and interaction I got just from moderating panels that I was on, and just meeting people like face to
Network.
face. Yeah, it just
Yeah.
more
But
in 2 days than I had in 2 weeks.
live live concerts,
Right, that's what I'm saying.
that's like a large networking event. Someone doesn't know your art, so then they open their phone and they follow on Spotify or YouTube or Instagram or Facebook. It's like it's just a large networking event. I mean, also it is my therapy and my favorite thing to do in the entire world. So if I can help grow the band and our message, get our message out there, which I think is pretty important. We have some pretty honest and transparent lyrics in Keep Flying. That means I did my job for the day. You know what I mean? So
That was one of the things I picked up on were the lyrics, and there's almost like some inner turmoil in there, and there's some great ones. I wrote some down, and I don't think I wrote them down verbatim. I was actually driving and texting. Don't tell the cops, but or not texting, but they've taken notes. Um, but there's a line with the problem with the safety net means you're still going to fall, or something like that,
yep, that's
which
from
I
our
thought,
first.
yeah, which I thought was really neat. There's no aftershock because it feels like a constant earthquake.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
a lot of great stuff, and it was funny. I listened to High Cholesterol first, and then the second song was Candy Cane Forest 2. Is that what it's
The
called?
new record. Yep.
But I'm like, is this Mumford and Sons?
That new record we just put out in August last month, it's like recomposed versions of our songs in different kinds of genres and styles that we've never would have thought to do. But again, during the pandemic, we were like, well, we want to do something, and we weren't really ready to move on from our record Survival that came out December 2020, because it just, like a lot of records that came out in 2020, it kind of just sat a little bit because people weren't paying attention as often as they normally are because of the sadness going on in the world.
Right.
Um, so that was what Revival was. It was a play on, three of the songs are from Survival, hence Revival. They
Right.
go hand, and we just didn't want to move on from those songs. But we also took the time to revisit some other songs. Candy Cane Forest 2, which is from our first record. We brought that one back, and now we've had great success playing that every night on this last tour because though we're still playing the original version and not that Mumford and Son style version live, people know the song now. If they
Mm-hmm.
didn't know before, they know it now. So that was that, and that one we chose because it's pretty important lyrically, as we were talking. When you get to the bridge of that song, one of our one of my favorite lines in any of our songs is in Candy Cane, which is life can't be about just trying not to die, which I think is very important. And especially over the last few years, we can't just like hyper focus on that. We have to live, and
Right.
and we have to just roll the dice, and whatever happens today is is what it is, and then you go to sleep and wake up and there's a new day tomorrow. So um yeah, I don't know.
That was kind of the theme of the last 2 years was like, being afraid all the time, and people are like,
All the
we can't keep living like this. Like you said, we have to live. We can't like be afraid of how long is this going to go on for? How long are we going to live like this?
Right.
So
I mean, we even coming out of it, we started booking shows like in April of 2021, not knowing, remember, like it was like music was like just starting to crack back, but people were
yeah,
still, and we booked the release shows for that record July 31st and August 1st, and we up until that day didn't really know even in the summer, last summer, like, is it going to be like a okay for us to do that? Other shows were canceling at
Mhm.
my local venue that whole week. Shows were just not happening, and that was our first tour back, like all of last August. And man, every single day, every single show was awesome because the people who wanted to get out came out,
Right.
and it felt good to be back and see all these people that we hadn't seen. A lot of people who were with us before the pandemic who came back, and we were all just like getting to catch up after 2 years of
Yeah.
like, what have you been doing? I've been riding my bike every day. Rode my bicycle almost every single day for a year and a half. That's pretty much one of the only things I did.
Right.
Um, so I don't know.
If people are watching or listening that aren't familiar with the band Keep Flying, tell me a little bit about like, you know, the genre, so to speak, of what Keep Flying is.
So we were formed on like the ashes of all of our old bands, calling it a day over the course of a few years, and we are all like the members of those said bands that wanted to keep doing music and like try, like not just weekend stuff or like cover band stuff. We wanted to still do it. That's why this worked. We've gone through a couple lineup changes as the band has moved on because some people have changed their mind on that, but um and we're still good with all of them. And I appreciate all the work that those guys put into the band so that we can keep, be here right now. But musically, it's like a lot of us came from ska, and we did that with our old bands, and we didn't really want to do that anymore because it never really was able to grow where any of us wanted to. And we all like other kinds of music, like melodic hardcore, pop punk, and just skate punk and things like this. So Keep Flying, the idea of Keep Flying was like, how can we be that punk band, but keep the horns because that'll be the thing that sets us apart. Sure, it's going to pigeonhole us sometimes, but like we're not writing that kind of music. It's like instead of a lead guitar part, we're having the horns play what a lead guitar part would play, or instead of a vocal melody, we're having the horns do a vocal melody, or instead of like the second guitar doing the chords, the horns are doing like these held out notes, kind of making like what would have been the other bass part or something like this. So we just musically wanted to be the punk band, pop punk band with the horns. The way that I explain it to people is like Motion City Soundtrack has a keyboard, and Yellow Card has a violin, and Keep Flying has a saxophone and a trombone. I would never didn't tell somebody who wants to call us like a ska band that we're not, but like by definition, we don't have any upstrokes in our music. It's not really that. It's a punk band with horns.
Yeah.
Um, and we have treated the band in that way. We don't really ever play with the ska bands too often, though when we do we're happy because there aren't many anymore, and it's fun to do that because we all love those bands that still exist. Like I'm saying, we just went on tour with Les and Jake, one band that everyone in our band can agree on we all love, which is not always the case with bands we like. It's not usually 6 out of 6,
Yeah.
and it's one of the best experiences I've ever had, and a dream for me and everyone, my drummer, my singer, everybody's like, this is a dream come true to play with Les and Jay. We've been seeing these guys since I was in high school, taking the train to Roseland Ballroom in Manhattan. Like, you kidding me?
Yeah.
Uh, but we're also trying to do the things like we've been fortunate enough to play some shows with Story So Far and 4 Year Strong, Set Your Goals, and um, state champs, and we've had success there too, like playing to those a little bit younger crowd who never seen a band with horns. We get to be that band for some of those people. And lately we've been trying to play with like the older punk bands, like we did some shows with Bouncing Souls and a show with Lagwagon, and I feel like everyone said the same thing to us after the set every night, which was, you guys remind me of this band like in 2004, or you remind me of this band from the Tony Hawk Pro Skater um soundtrack, like 2000. You remind me of 2006 Warp Tour. Like things like that, which I take as a massive compliment because heck, man, if this makes you feel young and this makes you feel energized, that's all I care about because I want to feel young and I want to be energized. So, so I'm glad that it's having that effect on people and people are able to like, move around and feel good because that's all we want from this. We want people to be able to like leave their shitty day behind and spend 20 to 40 minutes during our set just having a good time and just vibing and feeling the music and we try not to talk too much on stage. We try to play the songs and get as many songs as we can in however long of a window we have so that people can get more from the experience. And we bust our asses up there, we break our backs and our knees up there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the only way we know how to perform is all in. It's all in or nothing.
Yeah, I mean everything that you're saying right now is everything that I thought. Literally, I
Awesome.
mean, like, I immediately was less than Jake, but not as ska, right? And I thought to myself, this is like early 2000s, but like modernized to an extent. You know, not only less than Jake, but the starting line, which was big back in the early 2000s. Even like there's a hint of the Wonder Years in there.
Yeah.
Um, so it's funny that you were able to play with or you just got off tour with Less Than Jake and then Bowling for Soup, who actually a member of Bowling for Soup was my first guest when I launched this podcast.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And they treated us like family from day one, which was again, you never know.
Yeah.
The, those bands are rock stars. They've been bands for over 20 years. Less than Jake 30 years, Bowling for Soup 28, I believe. These are rock stars. They treat us like gold. And that goes a long way with me. I am someone who has worked for a lot of bands over the years as crew. I've toured when I wasn't playing my own music. I was touring with other bands, helping them live their dream. And I have had a lot of not that experience, with some of these older bands. So when you meet the ones that are genuine and care, it's you don't forget it ever. Um, so I felt very blessed to be there. You know, but yeah, all the other bands you mentioned are bands that either some people in my band love or everyone loves, or we take influence from musically when we're writing. You know, so yeah, I mean you nailed it.
You guys nailed it. I mean, if you're saying that you guys kind of like collected everything together, like you guys nailed it. And like the horns, I don't know if I said this already, but the horns is what really brought me in. And I don't know if it's because you don't hear it a lot. So when you do hear it, it kind of like, really piques your interest, or if I'm getting older and I kind of appreciate, different instruments more now than before. But I mean, the horns was what really did it for me. I mean, there's a band called Trophy Eyes. They have a song. I forget what the name of the song is. Um, but there's a huge buildup, and then the horns just come in, and it's like it soars. It's just such a cool moment.
That's the Australian band.
Is it? I don't know. I'm not familiar with like their background, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I think they've
But
done war. Like I've had some off days with them on Warp Tour.
oh, cool.
Yeah, I
Very
actually have
cool.
a very good memory of being in Lake Raystown with them in Pennsylvania. Lake Raystown. I'm not sure if you're familiar.
I'm not. No.
Middle of Pennsylvania. Great campground spot for the summertime. And we had an off day. We went there and we were cliff jumping. And I was with those guys in that band and one of the bands I was working for at the time. And it was a great day. Very
Yeah,
great day.
that sounds awesome.
Very vivid memory of that. That band, cliff jumping. Cheers.
There you go. In addition to all that, you guys just seem like a really, really like fun band who like takes chances. I watched a few of your videos, even that one song for Candy Cane Forest too. I think you guys were like dressed up like
Yeah, we went all in with the gimmick. We were like, let's just go on. We were actually supposed to shoot at a farm
okay,
and pouring rain that morning. So we moved it into our rehearsal space, which is like the garage, cleared everything out because we had no choice. It was either do a video that day or we're not going to have a video for the song. And so I wish that we had been able to do the farm, but our boy who did the video um, at Death Scythe and from Syracuse, he Patrick, he crushed it. He did he did what he could with the space that we had. But yeah, we were all in, man. I was scouring for outfits, hats, like figure out how to make this really, really be the part. And we had a lot of fun doing that. So
Yeah. And you guys have been a band for how long now?
2016 we started.
Okay. So, I mean, it's still fairly new.
Fairly new if you remove pandemic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Year five, if you're looking at it like that.
Sure. Sure. And what were your thoughts during the pandemic? I mean, obviously, like I hate talking about it because like I'm sick of it, but also like it was 2 years of our lives, and then coming from a musician, it's like all of our shows got taken away, and you watch dates come off, fall off the calendar, and it's like, will we ever play again? Who knows? Like, what the fuck's gonna
Um,
happen?
I was still working for some bands at the time, and we were like getting updates every couple weeks on like the dates have been moved to this month. I was really under the impression many times that I was going back to work. I was like convinced, like, okay, this will be over by June, it'll be over by August, it'll be over by, and I just kept being optimistic about it until like January of 2021, where I was like, oh, we're never going back. It went the other way. I was like, we were chilling at my house, I think, in New York, and it was just like, we're never going back. What do you mean? It's been so long. How could we possibly go back now? Like that's it switched. But for Keep Flying, I mean, we did what a lot of bands did, man. We came up with like a live streaming schedule, and we were just every single day we were getting on there, we were trading off. Each member was doing something on the Instagram or the Facebook Live, trying to stay engaged with our fans who were also just sitting at home, or some people kept working, but a lot of people were home. And we did write during that time as well. So that was good. We went to the studio during that time as well, which was also good. Um, and we put out a record. We still rolled out a record, man. And you know what? We Survival came out December 2020. We did a variant that was limited to 100 on vinyl, where we did this gimmick where we went to a bunch of the places that we normally play in and stood outside of the venues that we normally play at and sold copies of the record in masks with gloves in the winter in January, and people came. Like
Yeah.
we had 5 to 10 people show up in each of these places because we were like trying to do what can we do that's something, but still like be safe about it. It was really hard. But we did that, and people loved it. I know the people loved it because I had manager friends hit me up and tell me, "Hey, I'm going to rip off your idea. One of the bands I manage has a record coming out. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just letting you know." I'm like, "Oh, please do. You should. You should get out there, wear the mask, go to the venues, stay outside, be 5 feet apart, sell them the vinyl, make it cool for them, and make it a cool experience for these fans who are willing to leave their house, in the winter to come say hi."
Right. I think the pandemic really showed us, or not everyone, but a lot of people, how resilient we can be and how adaptable we are. And so many of us, I hate the word, but pivot. It's like we can't be stopped if we don't want to be, right?
Right.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
what?
we were definitely like, let's just do everything we can.
Yeah,
We did a
okay.
live we did a live stream as well, which was hilarious because we did it with our buddy AJ from Yonkers, and he had started like a live streaming business, and we were his guinea pig. So we ran into all the issues, and we were just having a blast. We were laughing. We had a TV on the ground that was reading us the comments. At one point, the sound stopped. We were just all cracking up. It's like a stand-up comedy bit, playing the songs. People were having fun. Like we put on our same show as if people were there jumping up and down, screaming, sweating. And I was just like, after I'm so glad we did that, because the 90 something or 101 people, whatever it was, that watched, it was like, this is so cool, man, that we had 100 people tune in to like our show,
Yeah.
you know.
Now, do you
I
think
don't
you
know.
were able to really connect with your audience? Do you think you were able to also reach new people doing those things?
I don't think we reached new people. But our people stuck around, and
Right.
and I will they will never understand how much that means to us because like a lot of businesses and bands coming out of the pandemic, and nobody knew if their business was going to last, whether you were a band or a restaurant or a paper copying business. Like you didn't know if your business was going to continue to thrive, and a lot didn't. A lot went away, died, closed up, or
Yeah.
put wood up. Manhattan was sad.
Hmm.
So many boarded up buildings, and we also had the riots, Black Lives Matter. So it was really dark in Manhattan. It was a very sad time, and just driving around, just like nobody on the street, all boarded up, and you're just like, wow, look, this is this is the timeline. This is real, man.
Yeah.
Um, did some of that stuff have to happen? Yes, clearly, but also, you never want to see it go that way. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm so grateful that people stuck around because a lot of new artists, speaking musically, a lot of new art started during
Yeah.
the pandemic via TikTok and internet. Like we were talking when we started this interview, and I was definitely like, well, we may be washed away by these younger folks who are able to like figure it out on those platforms, which I was having a really hard time doing. But here we are. We pushed through and we're finding our way. And we've got a new record that's currently being mixed. That's we're going to drop early next year. And we put out Revival and we're touring on that. We're waiting for a few other things this year and hopeful for things next year. And we're just happy to be alive and that sometimes we get to take off from work to play live music. Like I really can't ask for a better life at the moment. Like I'm very, very fortunate to be able to do that still at
Yeah.
36. So
For sure. Now, did you end up leaving Manhattan or the New York area to
yeah.
Nashville because of the pandemic?
Um, Not because of the pandemic. I still am. I'm back and forth between Nashville and Long Island. My partner is here in Nashville, and my family is on Long Island. So you know, like any long distance thing, we've just had to figure out how to make it work. I would say we did look at the calendar. I do spend more time in Nashville than I do New York now, because that is what I have to do. Um, that's how I have to split my time now. But I'm Italian, raised Roman Catholic with a big family, many siblings, and my grandparents raised me. And so it is very important that I am there on Long Island as often as I can be. So I'm still there. And who knows what happens next.
Right.
Uh, but no,
Now,
I did not leave because of the pandemic. I would say that I did start spending more time down here. Like it happened that way for sure.
mhm,
If I could. For the first time in my life, I was off and not touring for the first time since I was 19.
right.
So, yeah,
Are all of your relationships long distance?
like the people in my life,
Yeah,
pretty
I'm
much,
making I'm making a joke.
pretty much,
Yeah.
I would say, like on Long Island, I only have a couple friends left. I mean, they're some of my closest friends ever, but most people have left there. There's still some homies in Manhattan and Brooklyn, but a lot of people left there as well. Nashville, funny enough, so many people have moved here that I have more friends here in Nashville than probably anywhere I've ever been. So that's kind of present. My best friend and his girlfriend just moved here, um, so that's nice. But like, yeah, even my bandmates. I mean, like, but I'm just so used to it now. My drummer is one of my closest friends in my whole life. He lives in New Jersey. We make the 2 hour drive to hang out, even when we're not on tour. It just feels normal now.
Right.
Like 2 hours just in my mind. I'm so used to doing these,
It's not a
the
lot.
Denver Salt Lake drive is 9 hours. I'm so used to like that. Oh, that's long. Like 2 hours is like, oh, who cares?
Right.
I'll drive an hour and I'll fly anywhere. I'll take any flight or drive anywhere 2 hours to hang out with somebody, even if it's 2 days. Because I'm just so used to that. I'm sure other people are not. As I've had this conversation with people with that sucks. I'm like, dude, that's all I know. So it's like
Yeah.
there's no pain there for me at all.
Yeah, I'm like one of those guys. 2 hours is like nothing. 3 hours is pushing it. 4 hours, like I don't want to do it. I mean, I drove to Maine one time with my wife, and that was like brutal.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, 4 hours is long.
Yeah, it gets there.
When
But
even when I 3:46, I'm like, it's not so bad. Like speaking as far as tour goes, anything under 4 hours is not a drive. I consider that minimal. If it's
hmm
under 2 hours, I consider that zero. It's very interesting. Like me being a vagrant, 2 hours is zero. Take 2 hours off of any drive, and that's the amount of time that my brain sees it as. Like a 2 hour drive is nothing,
right.
or a 5 hour drive is like 3 hours in my brain. That's why, like, when you start hitting 10 hours, that's when it's like, oh, 10
Yeah.
hours. That's like 8 hours. That's crazy,
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
a full day of work. Like,
Right.
what the
Right.
hell? But
But 2 hours or less, man, that is might as well be zero in my mind.
yeah. Now, have you guys been able to utilize the fact that you're in different areas of the world when it comes to, connecting with, people in those areas?
So everybody's involved in music outside of the band in some capacity. So some of us work for venues in different ways. Some of us work for other bands in different ways. So we are able to network like that
hmm
in our different quadrants. Like Henry's been bartending at a venue in Colombia. So I'm sure that it comes up in combo when he's talking to patrons, like, oh yeah,
Sure.
I'm a band myself, you know. Oh, cool, check it out. That's cool. Um, it does make it a little bit again, we when we're headlining, which we do more than I wish we did, but like when we love it, so I'm not going to be upset about it. But we'd always rather be supporting, playing new people. Um, but we're able to book our tours, like we change the routes where we start, so that way we can make it easier for certain members. Like sometimes we start in the Northeast or end in the Northeast. Sometimes we start or end in the Carolinas. So that way the two of our guys who are in the Carolinas can just get dropped off to us by their wives and make it easier. You know what I mean?
Right.
Uh, I don't know. We've been made the only one that's like the hard one is Ricky because he's in Denver.
Hmm.
Denver is like no matter what, he's always got to fly.
Right.
He's been the one that's the most willing to just throw his trombone in the overhead and get on the flight with a backpack and be like stoked to do it. So
Yeah,
thank God for him every day.
for sure. No, it's funny because I asked that question because when I was speaking or moderating the panels last weekend for the music conference, a lot of bands we were talking about, like, how to kind of uh, conquer your local scene and then kind of break out from there. And members were like, "Hey, like we have members here and we have members in different states. Like, where do you say you're from? Like, what area would you try and, you know, uh, plant your flag first?" So I wanted to ask that question because it
I
seemed
mean,
like
as far as like, okay, so this is a very interesting combo because you can go two ways here. You want to just be proud of where you're from, then just and you're excited about it, then that's just where you're from. You want to say you're from Fort Wayne, Indiana, go ahead. Like, be stoked and be the band that's from Fort Wayne, Indiana. But um, if you're looking at it as like a business standpoint, music business standpoint, for some reason, when you use a bigger city, there's an allure there, and people just for some reason like it's got the stamp of approval on it. Same with like when you're signed to a label, suddenly some people just take your project more seriously because they're like, well, they've got the label signing off on it, so it must be important. It must be good. It's like not necessarily. A lot of labels that I know sign a lot of crap that that they think might work and it doesn't work. At the end of the day, it's all business, right? It's all
right.
business. So just like if you're somebody who's in real estate and you're buying and selling property, not every single property that you're going to buy is going to, turn a profit. Sometimes you make a mistake. Oops. So for Keep Flying, we have and always will say that we're from New York, New Jersey, because we are all from New York and New Jersey originally, and that though we've now moved, we're not going to not say that that's where the band is from because that's our attitude.
Sure.
That's our attitude in the music. That's our attitude on stage, and that's our attitude when we're having conversations like we are right now.
hmm
I'm a New York person through and through. I'm an Empire State person I lived there 36 years. I don't think that's ever going to leave at this point. Just like my singer is a Jersey person through and through, and he will always be a New Jersey person, even though he's now in South Carolina, with a sea of New Jersey people, like Charlotte, like Orlando and South Florida. These are all New York, New Jersey people that have relocated. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, but man, you got to do what your heart tells you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are bands that come out of small cities that they uh, look at Knock Loose, Oldham County, Connecticut. It's like Kentucky. It's like they'll always be that. They put that on the map.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Not
Yep.
everyone can say they did that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not
What?
everyone can Slipknot. So we're from really,
Yeah.
really. Who comes from there? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of bands will just say or move L.A., New York,
Yep.
Chicago.
Yep.
But you instantly get respect when for some reason it's like built into the brain. It's like people all, oh, you're from New York. Oh, it's like, I mean, I'm from the beach on Long Island.
Right.
I don't live in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
Never did. Would never claim that I lived there. Um, but I grew up on food stamps and free meals at school. So it's like at the same time, like we all had our struggles. I don't know. I'm going into a tangent here.
I got you, man. I
You
got you.
claim where you want to claim.
I got
Claim
you.
what you want to claim. If it feels right, it's right. If you feel like you should be claiming someplace that's closer, then claim it.
Right.
But when we play those markets where everyone lives now, we do call them home markets on stage. We just played Denver. We were able to say we're home. Ricky lives there. We are
Sure.
home. We played Columbia, South Carolina. Same thing. We could say that we're home. We are home. Or my singer owns a house there. We're home. You know what I mean? We don't need to write it on the internet because we don't need to hear the comments from the trolls being like, "That's not where you're from."
Right.
All good.
Yeah. What I think
Come
is
on,
cool.
get
What I think
away
is
from
cool too. We were talking at the conference that how if you are in a band and you want to try and get to the next level, like maybe not don't work at Office Max during the day and then be in a band at night or on the weekend. Like work in the field, whether it's for a venue as a doorman or as a bartender for a venue or whatever it might be. And that's kind of cool hearing you guys kind of reinforcing that to a degree.
the 4 out of 6 of the band members in Keep Flying work in the music industry.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Henry works, like I said, at the Senate as a bartender and also at AKT, which is a merch company that mostly does bands, large artists out of Orlando, and he's a salesperson for AKT. So he's constantly on the phone with other musicians every day. Um, Chuck is also involved in the city of Philadelphia as a union worker for loading and also as a merch rep for Live Nation. Um, Ricky does the same thing at the summit in Denver. He's there right now doing merch this for the next 3 days for Anne Berlin. Like sometimes he's security, sometimes he's on merch. And then I tour manage bands and also do merch and also drum tech and whatever comes up on drive as well sometimes for other larger artists since 2009. So the 4 of us, like we're all in on that.
Yeah.
And not for nothing, my other guitar player has been looking for guitar tech jobs on the road, as well as my drummer has been looking. He's basically told me to keep him in mind when I'm not sure if you're familiar, but there's a company called Bandwagon, which is basically like smaller buses. You don't need a CDL to drive them, and there's a shortage of drivers. So there's a lot of bands that are looking for people to drive these bandwagons. And I've been submitting his name because he's like, dude, I don't really want to Uber.
Right.
I got to drive and make more money and like be involved in the music. Cool. So pretty much all of us are like in that.
Yeah.
I agree, though I would also say there's nothing wrong with having other hobbies because though the music industry is a blessing, it's also very poisonous. And I would understand why somebody would want to have a separate life from it so that they can have that balance and reset,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. That's
A
a
lot
cool
of politics. A lot of politics in the industry. I've seen a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Seen a lot of shit in my day. That's not a brag. It's just I've seen a lot of shit. I'd love to write a book one day with a lot of the shit that I've seen.
Yeah.
Um, it's politics. It's business. You don't think about it as a fan of live music. You don't think about it, and you shouldn't. And I pray that everybody who has a favorite band does not think about the business behind that artist, whoever it is, because when the business starts coming in, there can be a lot of a lot of negativity, a lot of bullshit in there, a lot of politics, and you don't want to know. You're better to be ignorant to it. I promise. I promise.
So you wouldn't recommend finding out how the sausage is made?
No, I would not, unless you're trying to get involved.
Yeah.
In which case, you're going to have to learn, and you probably learn real quick. You'll have good experiences, and you'll have bad ones, and you'll start to figure out what is acceptable, for you, for your own persons, and what kind of thing you want to be involved in or not involved in. If that makes sense. I'm being very honest right now.
Dude, I
But
feel I literally feel like I've like you were part of the conference that I was at. Like, um, I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with Neil Rubenstein.
brother, I've known him my whole life.
He was there. Yeah, he was one of the speakers. I had a feeling you might.
We
Um,
have worked together many times because he used to be running several of the venues on Long Island.
yep.
He did the production, he did the day-to-day management. So I worked with him many, many times. And he's a very kind friend in my life. And I'm very proud of him for doing his stand-up
Yeah.
full time. I couldn't. I was so ecstatic to see. I'm going to commit to this the same way I'm committing to keep flying. He's like, I'm all in on traveling full time, being a stand up comedian. I was like, that is awesome, man. Good for you.
Yeah.
And he's seen a lot of shit more than me.
That was the consensus over the weekend.
He's
The
seen
one of the
more
guys,
than me.
yeah, Neil and the guy from CI Records, Jeremy Weiss. Yeah, it was a great weekend, and
That's cool.
I feel like we were just kind of continuing the conversation from that, so it's funny.
Some people like you, some people hate you.
Yeah.
That's the street. Some people like you for no reason. Some people like you for a specific reason, and
Hmm.
some people dislike you for a reason or not. It's really like
It,
pretty brutal. But once you just accept that that's what it is, and you let your skin get thicker. I was actually saying this today when we were going to Home Depot. Once the skin gets thicker, you're able to brush things off. Things just bounce off you. You're able to just like not be affected or overthink or stress about something or get anxious or because that's just all it is. You got to be able to go to bed at night and like leave it at the door.
yeah. Well, it was funny because a lot of the guys that have been in the industry, and I was the moderator, so they kept saying like, find something else, do something else, like to the audience, right? And I knew what they were saying, right? So I kind of like brought it back, and I kind of called them out in a funny way that they make it sound so negative, so that way they could kind of like come back and talk about like how rewarding it can be and how just like as much as they joke about it, and it's kind of going with what you said, like it could be everything you want it to be, and it could be everything you know you don't want it to be, but it's there, it's real, it's it could be scary, it could be wonderful.
It changed my life, and I'll never. This is just who I'm going to be now forever. Um, well, I won't say that because we're always all growing and changing. Though some people feel that not everyone is allowed to have that, which is seemingly asinine and insane. But we're all growing and learning and changing. And the one thing that I will say, if I was at that conference, I would say something along the lines of once you find what works for you in this industry or any, just try to emulate do it your way.
Right.
Like you find the ways that the people that you like or look up to, whether it's their music business ethics or how they run business or musicians in general, and you can emulate, but also while emulating, find your own way. Because, like I was saying, I do things my way, and it gives me peace in the music industry. It's like I'm able to go to bed at night knowing, well, I did my best today, with whatever project I was working on, and I cannot. That's it. I have to accept I did my best. It may not have been perfect. I'm a human being, but I did my best, and I'm going to go to bed now, and I'll wake up tomorrow and try again
Yeah.
tomorrow. Which I think is important that so many people in this industry, the stress, man, our wrinkles just come faster
Mm-hmm.
and deeper and wider because of the stresses. I mean, even if you're in the industry on the touring side, it's like, man, we're not sleeping that well. We're not eating that great. We're getting working 20 hours a day sometimes. It's like, um, that adds up.
Sure.
And so just everyone in this world, get involved, but also keep in mind balance, have other things as well so that you could take a break and just be kind to yourself physically and mentally. Take the break when you realize that you're overwhelmed. That's all. I wouldn't. It's not a negative place to be in. Every entertainment
Everything.
business is going to
Yes.
have anything of the arts is going to have that because the arts is harder than anything else.
Right.
It always has been that way. It's why public school, the arts are the first thing cut when there's a budget because
Right.
it's never taken as serious as other things. It never will be. You're always, as an artist in whatever capacity, you're trying to find your niche group of people, whether it be 50 or 5 million, that are down with what it is that you're doing, right?
It's subjective. Yeah.
Correct. So
Yeah.
it's always going to be harder, but the reward is that much greater if you find the success, not with the numbers, but with the way that you might change someone's day. For me, man, it takes one person sending a message to the Keep Flying Instagram. I just saw you tonight in this city, and man, you were the best opening band I've seen in 10 years, and you made me feel so good. And the lyrics of this song, I went home and I listened, and man, it made me choke up. And thank you for your art. That's it. That's enough for me. I can read that message and I can say out loud, well, I feel success today, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to bed now a successful musician. Successful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I want to take a second real quick to
Yeah.
plug something that I'm doing because you mentioned the arts in schools and things like that. I once this airs, it'll be right before this happens or maybe in the middle of it, but I'm teaming up with a local brewery to brew a beer. And then the 100% of the proceeds from the sale of that beer is going to benefit the junior high and senior high music programs for the high school that I went to.
That's amazing.
Because and I don't want to like kind of like jump in there with that, but like the reason I'm doing it is because those are always the first programs to get cut,
Always,
you know.
always.
So I'm doing my best to use my platform for good, and I can't thank the brewery, Back Mountain Brewing Company in Dallas, Pennsylvania, for even entertaining the idea. I'm a nobody. I'm just trying to do
It's
some
not
good in the world.
right now for kids that might be robbed of that. That impressionable age. If they don't
Mhm.
have the arts, they might never open up that part of their mind
Yeah,
ever.
there's people that say that saved their life. Like
Save
so.
mine. Oh, save mine.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that I was depressed. I didn't even know. I had no idea because I was going to all these shows like one town over from me as a kid, local bands. They were only a couple years older than me. Changed everything. Changed everything. Gave me a safe place. People, like-minded people. This was before cell phone, so you were
Hmm.
alive
Yeah.
clearly. Um, didn't have anything, so it was like I needed those shows. I needed that. I needed those bands to be playing their music live, so I had something to do. So I didn't even know that I was depressed.
Yeah.
Um,
Music is powerful, man.
I couldn't imagine like not having that. My mom all the time. She's a teacher, an art teacher, all the time. They're worried about like, oh, they're gonna cut. They're gonna cut, which means we're gonna have to lay off some of the art teachers first. It's like always how it goes. The arts and the music. the extracurricular, though it shouldn't be at this point.
No, it's music and arts are so powerful, and like you're saying, they can, change your life. And
Right.
I mean, if I can be a small part of that, I mean, I definitely want to be. And I work for a company called Axelrad Screen Printing. We're going to print some T-shirts,
Awesome.
and then people can buy those, and money from that's going to go towards the the program too. So yeah, I mean, it just
It's important.
yeah,
Just like they told me when I was a student that it was important that I learned about World War I. Sure,
you're right,
the arts are just as important. You
right,
know, it needed to open that up. Like, thank God I had a music teacher in third grade, and I started playing the drums. Thank God I knew like what that was.
yeah,
Like, I don't know. That's how, again, like I said, performing now for me is therapy. It's a 30-minute therapy session. I get a lot of emotions out when we perform. If I didn't have that in school, I would have never probably picked up the saxophone. I would have never started. Who knows?
yeah,
Hard to say. Thank God that wasn't the way that it went. So it we need more programs like that, to be honest.
for sure.
Math. It's cool to know math, and I did.
Yeah,
I was I was in advanced math classes. I was a math and science geek.
same.
All good. But if you can get through life with basic knowledge of math.
Right.
A lot of the math that we were doing, I'm thinking back, I'm going, calculus.
Yeah,
I
algebra. I mean,
I didn't end up using this. I didn't end up needing this in
right.
life because I go down a career path. I needed music theory. Thank God that I had that class.
Yeah,
Thank God I had that class. Now transposing music with Rick when we're writing horn parts is much easier because I had those classes.
right.
Like, those stuck with me. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't think people realize like writing music is not like easy. I
No,
mean,
it's
there's
all it's there's also, for some, not all, but math is involved in music as well.
mhm.
A lot of math. And so I don't know. We
Well,
we agree that it should just, public school systems should keep the arts as just as important as the rest of the curriculum. That is an opinion that I have that will never change. So
100%. Yeah.
there's no reason they should be cutting that.
No.
Cut it somewhere else. Cut it somewhere else. And I'm not saying cut it in the sports either. I'm not one of those
I
guys.
know. I know.
I'm
It's
not one of
it's
those guys either. I want those kids to be able to do that too, man.
right. I mean, sports saves other people's lives. I mean,
Correct.
it's
I
yeah.
played football. I loved playing football. I loved it.
Yeah.
I didn't love the weight room. I stopped ultimately, but I loved the couple of years I played football. I loved it.
Yeah.
Then I loved doing marching band for the football games. I loved it. I loved it. I loved being there. I had a great time. Um, so I don't know. There's got to be a better way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, unfortunately we won't be able to figure it out tonight.
That's true. But you're what you were just talking about. I know we've derailed completely here, but you're
That's
doing a great thing
thank you.
for your local school. That's really great. That's a really impressive thing.
It's never a derailment. That's one of the reasons I like doing this, because I want to talk about more than just music. The idea of this whole thing is to, yes, we're going to talk about music, we're going to talk about what you have going on, we're going to talk about your history as a band and history as a person, but let's talk about like just real life shit, like stuff that we're going through, stuff that we're witnessing, stuff that we're living through. It's
Right.
um one of the reasons I really love doing this. So thank you for, I mean,
Of course,
offering that.
of course.
But I won't keep you much longer. It's getting late, I know. But keep flying. Where'd that name come from?
Two things. One, it's a positive affirmation that everyone can get behind. You see it on a T-shirt, you might not even know it's a band. It's just like a plaque from Marshalls. You walk into Marshalls and see "Live, Laugh, Love." You could also see one that says "Keep Flying."
Keep flying. I like
Right.
that.
So that's one. Two, Henry and his brother at the time, who was started the band with us as well. The three of us, we really love a television program called Firefly, sci-fi program that only had one season, and then they ended up canceling it, and it kickstarted or whatever it was, money to make a movie, which ended up being Serenity. Keep Flying is part of the monologue in the show Firefly. If you're a sci-fi nerd, or Josh Whedon nerd, you can check out Firefly. You can just type in Firefly Keep Flying and it'll be right there for you. You can see the monologue, you can hear where it's said, you can see the logo, you can see the plane. We have the 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 symbols on our paper airplane logo. They say Serenity. It's all tied in with that show.
Got it. Is Josh Whedon the guy that did X-Files?
Did he do X Files?
I don't
He
know.
did.
The name sounds familiar. I just
He's
don't
done a
know.
lot. Done a lot. I think the internet hates him now, but he has done a lot of TV and movie, and you know, just a lot of pop culture stuff. All good. It is what it is. But the show was very important to us, and that's where another part of the where the name comes from. We always tell people when
Sure.
people ask, but it's more so now taking on a life of its own as far as the positive affirmation. You know what I mean?
That's
It's
cool.
just a thing you could say. I sign off a lot of our Facebook posts with just put the man's name, and it's like, there you go. Get off your ass and just
Yeah.
deal with the day, and then move forward and keep flying. It's a very easy thing to. It's a very easy way for me to promote us, who are positive people, super
Yeah.
positive, maybe even toxic positive sometimes. I've heard that a few times in my life.
Sure.
So
In my head, I was even like thinking like I'll probably be like really like goofy and also sign off by thanking you and saying and yeah, keep flying, bud.
that's it. I mean, people do it to us all the time,
Yeah,
and they laughing. I'm like, no, I mean, it's just a nice thing to say.
but it is. It's fucking great. I love it.
Do your thing, man. Like, just do your thing.
So you mentioned that we can expect new music from you early next year.
Yeah, so the record's being mixed right now, and I would say that we will drop the first single like as soon as possible. January,
That's cool.
maybe like as you know, the music industry shuts down like mid-December through mid-January. So we're
Yep.
thinking like right at the crack of mid-January, we'll dump the first song out. That way, it's 2023 and we've got real music. We're bouncing back from Revival, which was like fun for us to do, but it wasn't any new music. Here you go. This is where we're going with the band now. This is the current lineup. I'm doing more vocals. We got another guitar player who's like shredding on the record. Like we've added and changed some things. So we're excited to get people up to speed with where we're going with the band. That being said, we have not compromised our sound. We've
Okay,
just
good.
we've just added more.
All right.
We've added more influence. If you like Thrice or you like Comeback Kid, we've added a little bit of that kind of stuff. If you like, Pennywise, we've added a little bit of that. But if you're still like a Wonder Years Head or Starting Line, like you said, or Newfound Glory, we still got plenty of that.
Sweet.
Plenty of that.
And we've got about three
A little
months
bit of
left.
Jeff Rosenstock on there, even like a little bit of slow, like indie rock kind of
Okay.
from the heart stuff as well. Like we're trying a bunch of things because we don't care. We're gonna just write the music we want to write, and hopefully people like it.
That's the vibe I got. That's the vibe that I love. You guys are like, hey, we're gonna do this. We're gonna have fun doing it, and hopefully people like it along the way.
Yep, we do it for us. I
Yeah.
mean, and everyone. But at the end of the day, it's if we love this, we're releasing it. We ain't shelving this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which a lot of artists don't have the luxury of doing when
Sure.
they're on some of these labels that they hear the songs and go, "Oh no, we're not putting that out. We'll
Gotcha.
shelve. Well, you
Yeah.
got to take those 3 songs off the record. It doesn't work. Not us."
No.
So
There's about 3 months left of the year. Um, Anything planned as far as shows go, or any more small tours, or
we're supporting. It's funny. This was a Bowling for Soup and Less Than Jake month, and then next month, October, we're supporting all heavy bands, metalcore bands. Like October 7th, we're in Maine supporting In Spirit, which is the new Vanna, which is a big Massachusetts, Rhode Island band that's been around for forever. And then the next day, we're supporting Folly on Long Island, which is a metalcore band from New Jersey that's doing like a couple of reunion shows. And then in Montreal, we're supporting Drain and Koyo and Life's Question, which is just a hardcore show. Um, we're announcing a few more Canadian dates for October, like I think tomorrow or Monday. And then November 19th, we just announced again the other side of that spectrum. We're doing a show at Starland Ballroom with Goldfinger, Catch 22, Mustard Plug, Planet Space, like a big ska show, which we're happy to be included on. You
Sure.
know, Goldfinger is. I think some of our stuff sounds like Goldfinger. I
Mm-hmm.
think we you could put us as similar artists.
Yeah.
We're very pumped to play with those bands because we never get to play those shows because those shows don't really happen that often.
Right.
Those don't play very often. I don't think Catch 22's done a show since pre-pandemic. So we love that band. And before then, they were only doing like 2 shows a year. Like, honored to play with some of these bands. So, and then we're waiting to hear about a few things that could pop up. Otherwise, we'll have some of our own shows in like late November, December time, and then our annual holiday show is how we close the year out. And this year, it falls on New Year's Eve, so we have our big home show at Amityville Music Hall New Year's Eve. Dropping the lineup soon. It's been announced for months. Um, it's the official release date for Revival. We're going to play the whole record front to back that way, as well as our normal set. So we're excited about that. Um, and we'll ring in the new year with all of our folks, and then it's a good way to start 2023.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. We gotta
Excited.
get you guys East Coast. I mean, yeah, you're on the East Coast, but Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area. Maybe some Philly dates.
Philly, I think in November, December, we're doing something.
Okay.
Allentown, we're going to play again November, December.
All right. That's good.
I've
Allentown's like 45 minutes from me. I like that.
tried a few times. We've played some shows there. It's never been the best. And then we did a show in Wilkes-Barre a few years ago that it's a like our singer could not make the show, and it's on YouTube. Normally we don't like to talk about it, but it's up there. Some media company filmed that whole set, and it's bizarro because we had to like come up with splitting up the vocal duties for that show, and it's just like one of those ones that you're like, wow, I wish this one was just not up here.
In Wilkes-Barre? I'll have to try to find that.
Oh yeah, it's in Wilkes-Barre. It was at a smaller place. I can't remember. Transit? No, that's Erie, Pennsylvania. Um, something. It's up
Man,
there.
I would love for you to pull
You
that.
probably use the band name, and Henry will hate me for doing this, but you
I won't
probably
share it. I won't share it, but
probably YouTube "Keep Flying Wolfsbane," and there it is. You the whole set of us, old lineup. I think me and Peter were the only two on during that set that are still in the band.
what
Uh,
year do you think?
2018, I
I'm trying to
think.
think what venue would even be open at that point.
It was small,
Yeah.
and we were playing with a band called Rich People from Philly or South Jersey, um, and a few other bands. It was like the show that they had booked,
Hmm.
so I wasn't familiar with the promoter, but we had fun. We always do,
Sure.
but we never went back after that because I don't really know anybody there
Right.
that would book us. You know what I mean? Like we wouldn't fit on any of the bills. I see the shows go there, but it's nothing that we would be like trying to shoot for because it's a little too outlandish from what we're doing.
Right. Got it. Well, if people want to learn more about you guys, where can they go?
Keep Flying Band on all the socials or Spotify, Keep Flying, or Apple Music, YouTube page. We have like almost all of our songs have a video. A lot of them are funny.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
TikTok is up there. Henry and Chuck run the TikTok. I don't even have TikTok, so I abstain from that. They deal with it. But yeah, we're on there. We're on the Facebook, on the Instagram, Twitter, not so much because it's Twitter, man. It's kind of
Fucking crazy.
yeah, it's got good days and it's mostly bad days.
I
But
can't keep up with Twitter. I can't do
yeah,
it.
right.
But
The Instagram and the Facebook's pretty genuine. Yeah, you find us on there.
sweet.
Find us anywhere.
Sweet. Well, dude, thank you so much for taking the time. I mean,
Absolutely.
I feel like I shot my shot. I'm glad you responded.
Yeah, I'm glad to have done it.
Yeah. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for reminding me though, because man, I had blacked out about this. So when you messaged me, I was like, "Oh yeah," but I was like driving, going, "Oh shit."
Yeah. Well, it was one of those things. It's like, it was like 2 weeks ago we set this up. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'll shoot him a reminder just in
yeah,
case.
yeah.
I've been stood up before. It's okay.
I'm sure it happens. I mean, it's happened to us. We've showed up
Oh,
to a door was locked because they forgot there was a show that day.
yeah. So,
We've had it happen. I wasn't doing anything tonight except I just started the new Lord of the Rings series. I've been on tour, so I've been able to watch TV, and I'm like on episode 2, fired up right now.
there you go. We'll get back to it.
Second we get off here, I'm gonna take a break and have a cookie, that vegan cookie. I see them on the counter over there, and then I'm gonna hopefully crack through the rest of these episodes. I think there's only 4 so far, but
Okay.
man, big fantasy head over here.
All right.
Big
Yeah.
big fantasy guy. So we don't
Gotcha.
ever get fantasy. It's very rare that we get ever fantasy movies or TV. There's no budget for it. Nobody
Yeah.
wants it. So whenever we get it, man, I'm fired up. So
Well, I'll let you get to it.
cheers.
John, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, brother.
All right, buddy. Thanks.
Peace.
See you.
Show what your small business sells in 7 seconds.
So don't just stand there. There are lots of ways to show you really want Nickelodeon magazine. How?